Hello and welcome to Nerd Subculture. I'm your host Jarrod.
And I'm Edwina.
And this is our You're Watching That Again? Again podcast where we remove what do we do, Eddie? We review movies that we've seen multiple times and review them again.
And why we love them.
And all that jazz. And today, Eddie...
And they're not really your high art movies, by the way.
No,
they're
not highbrows, lowbrows.
They're just what you put on if you're hungover and bored.
Yeah.
They're
which is us every day.
They're your comfort movies.
Comfort movies. And this comfort movie is X-Men, released in 2000, starring Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Famke Janssen, James Marsden, Halle Berry, Anna Paquin, and directed by Bryan Singer.
Warning, this is a full spoiler podcast. If you haven't seen the movie, please come back when you have.
Yeah. All right, great. Yeah. So you're back. Thank you. That was quick.
Yeah. So this is... so we're going to talk about X-Men.
Yes,
and
X-Men.
This is my pick, I think.
Was it your pick, maybe? I think okay.
I went through our DVD collection.
All right. And this is the one out of the hat, too, we did as well. This is the first one we did out of the hat. It was the X-Men. We're going to do X2 and Days of Future Past, I believe. Yeah. We're going to do those. So we're starting off with that one. We're doing the good ones, in case you hadn't noticed. Fuck the other ones.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that.
I think we will bring them up. Yeah, they will come up every now and again. So, Eddie, just quickly over to you. What was it like when you first watched this? What was it like revisiting it?
You know what? So, as I said, I picked this movie because I was a big fan of the cartoon
Is that
series.
the original cartoon, or are you talking about the Evolution one?
No, the original one.
Right, okay, yeah.
I grew up watching them on TV. I didn't have comics readily available where I lived.
No, you didn't.
They weren't really a big thing in Australia until
they weren't.
Until like the late 90s. You had to find very specific shops.
Yeah, in fact, I didn't really know anyone who read comics, to be honest. Like, I was aware of the comics. I did have some comics, but it was one of those off-the-cuff things where I just might have bought one at a newsagent one day, just a one-off Batman one or something like that, Yeah,
I think occasionally you could get them at my local newsagent in the small country town near where I lived. But
the only one I ever got was the Mad magazine. I was a Mad magazine reader. Yeah, definitely into that one.
But yeah, I was a big fan of the TV show and grew up watching that and absolutely loved that cartoon series. And I was very, very excited about it coming to the screen.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype about it at the time, definitely.
Yeah. And Hugh Jackman looked amazing as Wolverine.
Still does.
I thought they'd done a good costume design in changing the yellow to black leather instead.
Yeah, I think it worked. Yeah.
I thought they'd done a really good movie. And I did go see this at the cinema.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as did I.
And I also bought it on DVD.
Mm-hmm. As you did.
Yeah. But rewatching it.
Yes, rewatching it, Eddie.
And so it's probably been a few years. So once upon a time I'd just put this movie on in the background. It was one of those sort of movies. And so I would have watched this movie 100 times. But rewatching it, I was like, it's not really as good as I remember it being.
I completely concur with you on that, Eddie. I did feel... I remember loving this at the time and thinking, it was a great movie, great comic book movie. But yeah, rewatching it, I don't think it held up, and I don't think it's any fault of the movie per se.
Not.
I just think it seems very generic now, but it was quite unique at the time.
Well, I will talk about that because I feel like it's like the first page of a larger book.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And it kind of sets up a lot of things. Like it just sets up the universe.
Yeah.
And actually, can you do the summary of the film and
then
we'll come back to it?
You're itching to go on, aren't you? Yeah. I can tell. In 1944, at Auschwitz concentration camp, a 13-year-old boy is separated from his parents. This awakens his mutant powers and causes a set of metal gates to bend towards him because of his mutant ability to generate magnetic fields. In a not-too-distant future, US Senator Robert Kelly attempts to pass a Mutant Registration Act in Congress which will force mutants to reveal their identities and their abilities. The telepathic Professor Charles Xavier is in attendance when he sees his old friend Magneto, the boy from the beginning, and is concerned how he will respond to the Registration Act, with him saying war is coming. After accidentally putting a boy into a coma with a newly emerging mutant ability that absorbs the power and life force of others, 17-year-old Marie runs away to Alberta and changes her name to Rogue. She meets up with the fellow mutant who goes by the name Wolverine and who possesses super healing abilities and metal claws that protrude from between his knuckles. They are attacked while driving by Sabretooth and are rescued by the X-Men who take them to Xavier's School for the Gifted. Xavier tells Wolverine, whose real name is Logan, that Magneto appears to have taken an interest in him and asked him to stay while he investigates the matter. Senator Kelly is abducted by Brotherhood members Toad and Mystique and brought to their hideout on an uncharted island of Genosha. Magneto uses Kelly as a test subject for a machine that induces mutations in normal humans. Kelly later escapes by taking advantage of his newfound mutation. Wolverine accidentally stabs Rogue when she tries to wake him from a nightmare. She can absorb his healing ability to recover. This is observed by fellow students who arrive to help. She is later convinced by Mystique, disguised as Rogue's crush Bobby Drake, that Xavier is angry with her, and she leaves the school. Xavier uses his mutant locating machine Cerebro to find Rogue at the train station, and the X-Men go to retrieve her. Meanwhile, Mystique enters Cerebro and sabotages it. Wolverine finds Rogue on the train and convinces her to return to the school. Before they can leave, Magneto arrives, knocks out Wolverine and subdues Rogue, revealing it was her he wanted. Although Xavier attempts to stop him by mentally controlling Sabretooth, he is forced to release his hold on Magneto when he threatens the police, who have converged on the train station, allowing the Brotherhood to escape with Rogue. Kelly arrives at the school, and Xavier reads his mind to learn about Magneto's machine. Realising the strain of power that nearly killed him, the X-Men deduce that he intends to transfer his powers to Rogue and use her to power it at the cost of her life. Kelly's body rejects his mutation, and his body dissolves into liquid. Xavier attempts to locate Rogue using Cerebro, but Mystique's sabotage incapacitates him, and he falls into a coma. Fellow telekinetic and telepath Jean Grey fixes Cerebro and uses it, learning that the Brotherhood plans to place their mutation-inducing machine on Liberty Island and use it to mutate the world leaders meeting at the summit on nearby Ellis Island. The X-Men scale the Statue of Liberty, battling and overpowering the Brotherhood, while Magneto transfers his powers to Rogue and activates the mutation machine. Working together, the X-Men manage to destroy the machine, but Rogue is severely drained. Wolverine transfers his power to Rogue, rejuvenating her while incapacitating himself. Professor Xavier and Wolverine recover from their comas. The group also learns that Mystique escaped the island battle and is impersonating Senator Kelly despite being seriously injured by Wolverine. Xavier gives Wolverine a lead to his past at an abandoned military installation in Canada. Magneto is imprisoned in a complex constructed of plastic and is visited by Xavier, and Magneto warns him that he intends to escape one day and continue the fight. Xavier replies that he'll always be there. The end. All right, Eddie, since you're so eager to start, I'll throw it over to you. And where do you want to go with this?
I suppose I should have asked, did you see this at the cinema? Because I think I did. This was pre-us.
I think I said that, yeah. Pre-us.
Pre-us getting okay, together. Yeah. That's how long ago this movie was.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So you saw it at the cinema?
Yeah.
Okay, and you liked it after you saw it?
Yeah, absolutely loved it, yeah.
Yeah, so my whole thing is I honestly believe this is what started that little catalyst that ended up creating the MCU.
Well, it was the ensemble cast, I think, that sort of helped. So having multiple superheroes in a movie, working together.
But no, I think it was the fact that it proved that comic book movies could be bankable. And this movie also, you have to realise, I didn't realise how many X-Men movie had been made since this. There's 13.
Wow, okay. 13?
Yes, because Deadpool's included.
Oh, okay. All right, well, there's 2 there. Yep.
Yeah, I had to double check that because I was like, is Deadpool part of it? I don't know if it really is. And then I looked it up. It is seen as part of being in that universe because he visits the mansion.
Okay, yeah. That's right. It's the only X-Men they could afford.
See two of you. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men.
Yeah. So, so this started a big franchise of its own, and it does, and I think that's what this first movie suffers from, is that it has a very, very short runtime.
Yes, in and out.
Yeah,
we're done. Yep, 2 hours.
It's not even 2 hours.
It's barely 2 hours, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like 90 minutes. It's like barely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, can you double check that?
No, it's not. It's an hour and 44. So it's not. Yeah, it's short. Like it's not. It's in and out. Like it's an hour and 20 minutes.
An hour and 44. But when you're seeing
120 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're seeing movies lately that are like 3 hours long.
Actually, no, sorry. What I'm talking about, my math is way off. 104 minutes, sorry.
So it's 104
minutes, yeah.
104 minutes, yeah. That's very short for a feature film.
I don't know if that counts credits as well, maybe. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a lot shorter than what you...
For an ensemble movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of characters in this movie that don't get much screen time.
And never do they? I feel like Storm's always just... Storm, do your thing. She rolls her eyes back.
Yes. Yeah, you never really learn much about Storm. I don't know, I feel Jean Grey is almost a little bit generic as well. But I think as it moves on, you learn more about her. Like she becomes a more interesting character.
Yeah, they do develop her a lot more in the other films.
Yeah.
But to your statement before about being bankable, I mean, superhero movies were known to be bankable. You do remember the Superman movies?
Yeah, but they were also very main. So Superman's been around since the 1920s. And Batman. But so the Batman franchise started to become not so. So unless it was like the lesser known comic books.
Yeah.
Started to become popular. Like Superman, Batman, they've always been popular. They're always going to make money off those movies, even if they're absolutely awful.
Well, they usually start off well and then kind of trickle off in the end. But bringing that
I don't know. Batman Returns, that was pretty terrible.
No, Batman Returns. That's good.
No, the one with
Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, not Batman. Sorry,
Batman Forever.
Superman Returns.
Oh, Superman Returns.
Yeah,
directed by Bryan Singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Yes. So.
Yeah. So bringing up the superhero movies that we have had in the past, and they always seem to follow a very similar formula of there was no long-term plan for these films. They'd make one or two. The first two will probably be pretty good, and then they would sort of fade off, and then the last one would be a joke. And I think the Batman and Superman films followed that to the T.
Yeah.
The first two were kind of great and just, flatted off. So, and a lot of like one-off, maybe trilogies, but there was no great big plan that they had.
Yeah.
So, although the Marvel Cinematic Universe gets its criticisms of being, takeaway movies or McDonald's fast food movies.
They had a plan.
But it's just great to see that they had a plan, and even though it didn't start off well with Incredible Hulk, they stuck to it and made this, I think, is a great cinematic universe and followed through with it. And I think that's something to appreciate a little bit,
Yeah.
And even with the X-Men, they've sort of stuck it out, but not quite. They rebooted it now.
What? It was, so I think they originally had plans to do individual movies, and that started with Wolverine Origins, and then they were going to do like Storm Origins, and so they were going to do these Origins movies. Okay. Like there was like a whole plan to do that. They were going to do Jean Grey Origin one as well,
right?
Which I think ended up being turned into Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
But then that got scrapped because the X-Men Origins movie was terrible.
So if you can't make a great standalone X-Men movie with the main star in it, then what hope do you have using one of the other lesser-known characters?
Yeah.
I suppose that's sort of what they calculated and pulled the pin on that, possibly.
Yeah. So they decided to start doing the ones back in time, back to the days of, going back to the to the beginning of Xavier and Magneto.
Yeah. And virtually rebooting it.
Yeah, and in that case, yeah, definitely rebooting the whole series pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in reading in this...
Oh, God. You didn't go... Did you look at the trivia for... on IMDb?
Oh, yeah, I looked at a lot of things.
It was insane, and half of it, I think, was all bullshit.
A lot of nonsense in there, but I think a lot of stuff that was definitely stayed true was the production hell of this film.
Oh, okay, yep.
So I think it took a good 10 years.
Yes.
They were trying to make this film for a long time.
Yeah, since 83.
And so many people were tied to it.
Including James Cameron.
Catherine Bigelow.
Joss Whedon wrote a script.
Joss Whedon, I think one of his dialogues was left in there. I think what happens to a toe when it gets struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Same as everything else.
So that
does sound like a Joss Whedon quip, to be honest.
And then the other one was the "You're a Dick" one, I think, as well. That was one of his. Or the yellow spandex. I think they were the...
Yeah. And one name that did pop up who was in line to direct this, Roland Emmerich.
Oh, God, no.
But he went to do Godzilla instead.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Dodged a bullet with that one. I mean, I don't know how official where this guy was going to do it, this person was tied to it. You know, these films are sort of in a production state for so long that nothing really happens until there's boots on the ground sort of thing. Everything's just up in the air and people are writing and people are doing stuff that just never happens. I'm sure there's other films out there that people have written scripts for and done like test shooting and stuff like that, and it's just gone nowhere, you know. Superman Returns comes to mind as well.
Yeah, with
the Tim Burton one that was
with
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. We've all seen the pictures of that and footage of that. So, but yes, so many. Catherine Bigelow was tied to it at one stage.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, it was just endless. Like so many people were approached. So many different people were offered the roles of all the characters. Russell Crowe was apparently originally approached to play Wolverine, but he said, look, I'm not really interested, but I've got my mate of mine. Do you want to give him a call and have a chat with him?
Yeah, so this movie probably really, really made Hugh Jackman's career.
It did. Yeah, definitely.
So I think prior to this movie, he was pretty well known in Australia.
I don't think I knew him before this film, to be honest.
Really? I remember seeing him in a movie called Paperback Hero or something.
No,
he was like
I'd
seen him in a couple of like romance movies.
Right, yeah.
It's like romantic comedies.
So was he in Neighbours? Was it Neighbours?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't that. He's not a Margot Robbie.
He's not a Margot. Was he in some soapy? Was he in something?
No, I don't think he was in any of the soapies.
No? I'm sure he was in Neighbours.
Maybe something like Blue Heelers or...
none of the soapies. No, he wasn't. But he was in. Yes, you said Blue Heelers, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Blue Heelers.
Yeah, I think I remember him as
Brady Jackson.
Yeah, I think I remember him as a cop.
Yeah. Oh, the Snowy. Is it the Man from Snowy River? No. Halifax. Oh, I remember that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in some of the crime dramas Australian crime dramas,
but not a lot really. I mean, only a few appearances, and then banging, he landed X-Men. So
Yeah.
Probably owes old mate Russ a beer for that one, I reckon.
Yeah, probably.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. And he is absolutely iconic in this role. Apparently he didn't know when he did his prep work for this movie, he thought it was a wolf.
A wolf.
Not realizing that a wolverine is a completely different
more
animal.
like a sort of a badger or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was actually reading about that, and they're known to like completely guts themselves and completely eat too much, and will like jam themselves between two, like a tree stump to make themselves vomit. There's Wolverine.
What's he doing?
What's he doing in that tree?
Yeah, but it does set up his arc as well in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of that tortured soul of a being. I think he said his prep work for this was, I think he was taking cold showers and trying to hold in a scream, and that was his, that's what he
I read
realised.
that was accidental. They had no hot water one day, but it worked, so he did it every day.
Yes. But that was the mentality that Wolverine had, was that he was just constantly trying not to scream out and lash out at everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to talk about Magneto.
Magneto,
The
played
next
by
Ian.
Sir
Ian.
Sir Ian McKellen, yes.
And the character of Magneto, because I feel like he's sort of been the big... do you remember once upon a time they used to say, like, you used to constantly argue about, the MCU doesn't have any good villains?
I don't think I'm the only one who said that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's been mentioned a few times. The villains can be a little lacking in their solo films, yes.
Yeah. And then in this movie, Magneto, I think it's sort of that start of the sympathetic villain. The villain where you can kind of see their point.
Yeah. Xavier and Magneto have the same goals, but just they have different paths of pursuing that goal. Yeah. So they and that's what kind of separates them is their methods.
Yeah.
So one's very I guess villainous and one's more sympathetic if I can just sort of say that plainly. Yes, and that makes it does make the character a little more complex, doesn't it? Like he's not just your mustache twirling villain.
Yep, I just want to destroy all humanity. Just for the hell of it type mentality. Like
maniacal laugh.
His reasons behind it are that they're going to, if he doesn't make the first strike, the humans are going to kill all the
he's very
mutants.
much the preemptive strike person, yes. But he has very good reason for that because he has been persecuted for being different and it didn't go well.
Yes.
So you can understand, coming from a concentration camp where all that led, and this is the same, he's hearing the same things.
So the movie, and it is that thing where the movie is making a commentary. Not like the subtext of this isn't very subtle.
No, it's just text, Eddie.
Yeah, the subtext in X-Men really, really isn't.
Yeah, and that's what separates it, I think, from the other ones because it does have this sort of message. Even though you have superheroes in other projects who are always sort of adored, it's always flipped with X-Men to be this persecution sort of angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how the movies differ from that. We have Fantastic Four. Let's use that for an example. Fantastic Four, they're heroes in their film, but X-Men are almost villains in their own film, or seen as villains, basically. So there's that juxtaposition of that you have that's always made X-Men a little more interesting, and I like how they sort of lean into that. That, as I said, it doesn't seem as original now, but at the time it really was. It really was a different way to view superheroes as the reluctant heroes, but even the good ones as well. And just talking about their powers and stuff, I do remember reading that the idea of the X-Men, when Stan Lee and the other guy, I can't remember his name, created them.
It's Kirby.
Jack Kirby?
Jack Kirby, yeah.
Maybe. And the idea of them being born with superpowers was more of a writing idea, a way of having the powers without having to have origin stories for them all.
Yeah.
You could just introduce these characters with these powers because they were born with it.
Yeah.
There was no
bitten by a spider
or radioactive waste or anything like that. There was no...
the planet blew up.
Yeah, and the planet. I was sent on another planet. That you could just cut all that stuff out and I've just got superheroes. Yeah.
The dead parents. Always with the dead parents.
I know. Yeah,
and the pearls and the gun and the dark alleyway.
So it's interesting how a clever way of taking out exposition can make a story even more entertaining or interesting. But the original idea was just to take out all the backstories of the characters and just sort of have them bang. They got their powers. That's it. Yeah.
No
need for exposition.
Though there is a little bit of backstory in this, especially for like Rogue.
Well, yeah, but not necessarily with the powers though. You got like that.
Yeah,
That's usually a big chunk of a film. Like take Spider-Man, the first 40
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
You know, you can cut that out and just get straight to the good part, which is it's brilliant when you think about it. You know, no need for all that exposition crap.
Yeah, which is what the MCU ended up doing with their Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, story-wise for this, it's a very basic story. Pretty much Magneto's just trying to make his preemptive strike as they're in the process of making a strike against mutants. And just happened to, that he just needed Rogue to do it, unfortunately.
There was something Wolverine said that I thought was quite a good line where I think when they've been held captive and he's explaining their plans, as most villains do, and I think Wolverine says, you're so full of shit. If you were so righteous, it'd be you up in that thing, not her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and a nice zinger on that one, I felt. That was a good line.
Yeah.
So he's being so righteous and saying he's supporting the mutants, but he's not willing to sacrifice himself, and he'll sacrifice a fellow mutant for it. So
exactly.
So there goes his credibility a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the story is very basic. But yeah, there's sort of that misdirect where you think he's after Wolverine, but he's actually after Rogue.
Yeah.
that's really the only...
What a twist!
Yeah, that's really the only conflict of the film, really, isn't it? That sort of, because we are getting introduced to the characters, so you spend a lot of time introducing the characters and giving them some time to dialogue and talk and say who they are. So the film doesn't sort of really pick up until about 40 minutes in. It's not until Rogue's kidnapped.
Yeah.
But then it's sort of... And so when you think of the stages, you got the intro, then Rogue gets kidnapped, and then they're at the Statue of Liberty, and then that's it. Then they're out.
That's it. Very quick
very
movie.
Very quick. Doesn't drag on.
Yeah. But then again, I feel like there could have been a little bit more in there, so to speak.
Well, as you said, they're testing the waters, so they couldn't go the whole big 3-hour blockbuster.
And they are sort of setting up the next movie with Wolverine not knowing his past. He has no memory.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how he ended up with... There's sort of that mystery of what happened to Wolverine. Why does he have this metal all over his entire skeleton? And how did he survive that?
Yeah.
How old is he? No one could tell how old he was. The problem is we watched X2 right after watching
we did smash them, didn't we?
Which is definitely a much better movie.
Well, it's the sequels of those are always a little better because we don't need the introductions of characters and get straight into it. And they do get straight into it in that film. It's pretty much, hi, how you going? Yeah, no worries. Bang, strikers there. And actually, something quickly I wanted to mention, because Ray Park, obviously, who played Toad, famously played Darth Maul.
Yeah.
But this was actually his first speaking role. He was dubbed in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you know that?
I did know that, but he hardly talks in Phantom Menace anyway.
He only says a few lines. So I thought, why would you dub a guy who only says like a couple lines? Didn't even cross my mind. But interesting enough, he did voice Darth Maul in the Star Wars Rebel cartoon, which is even weirder. Like they had already had someone who used to do it, but then they get the guy who did the stunt double, I guess you could say, I thought that was... I had no idea. He didn't do Maul's voice. So there you go. Throw that one in there for you.
And you probably could have had more Iceman. A bit more of an introduction to him.
Really? But everyone else... Halle Berry barely gets in these lines. You got like an Oscar-winning actress there.
Got a couple of Oscar-winning actors in this movie.
And Bond girls too.
Yeah, this movie is full of Oscar winners. Let's see who's won an Oscar.
Well, I think it's
for starters, Anna Paquin has won an Oscar.
I think she won it before this too. Is that?
Oh well, she was like 12 when she won her Oscar.
The evil maniacal laugh she gave the audience too. She knew we were in for a ride.
Hugh Jackman's won an Oscar.
Did he?
Yeah.
What are you going for?
Les Mis.
Oh yeah, yep.
Patrick Stewart wouldn't have won an Oscar. Ian McKellen, I think, has won an Oscar.
I think it was for an older film.
Yeah, for Monster.
Yeah.
Or
No, that wasn't
Monster something.
No, wasn't it Halle Berry?
No.
Ball?
That was Halle Berry that won the Oscar for Monsters Ball. I'm surprised James Masters has. Oh no, he's just
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. He always finishes second.
Yeah, he's the guy that always gets his girlfriend stolen.
I know.
And this is probably one case where he gets his girlfriend stolen.
Yeah, one of many.
One of many movies.
Enchanted.
Superman Returns.
The
Notebook.
With Bryan Singer.
The Notebook.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Every second movie he makes, he loses. He gets his girlfriend stolen.
I know. Poor guy. Pretty good looking too. Come on. Yeah, he hasn't aged a day too, by the way.
To be honest, Hugh Jackman.
Oh, which one would you go for?
Yeah,
Hugh?
I'd probably go Hugh.
Yeah, okay.
That scene when he jumps off the bed, I remember being like, wow.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman.
He's jacked, man.
He's jacked, man.
He's jacked,
Actually,
man.
they've both aged gracefully, I have to say. Was the movie Hop where was he meant to be playing like a teenager, but he was in his late 30s or something, wasn't he? Like he was living with his parents and stuff.
I think he was in his 40s.
In his 40s. He was living with his parents and but he pulled it off. I mean, he still looks like he's in his 20s.
I know, he's making a lot of kids movies these days.
Yeah. That's good. I want to see Hop 2.
Yeah, not really.
No? Okay.
I want candy.
I was just...
Sorry, our kid. It's like the only Easter movie, and one of our kids got slightly obsessed with that movie.
Don't think I've heard Russell Brand talk so much. Well, he doesn't act anymore anyway.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he hasn't really much lately.
Yeah. And you got Flamenca Jensen. This was probably one of her first big...
A lot of people were considered for the role for that, like just so many.
I think Nicole Kidman.
Charlize Theron, the list goes on. We also have a TNG reunion.
Oh, yes. So we were watching an episode of TNG the other day, and I look up because I wasn't really watching the episode, and I'm like, is that Flamenca? And Jared's like, no.
She's just really attractive.
So, because she was kind of like, she was an alien sort of, well, she had alien makeup on.
Oh, that wasn't too bad, but she was a bit younger too. So this was like early 90s. So
so she looked very, very, very young. But I was looking at her, and I think she's also had a bit of work done, which might have made her a little bit.
Oh, really?
Might have made her a little bit less recognizable, even though she was absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes.
I'm looking at her going, that's definitely Flamenca. And look it up.
Yeah.
And of course it is Flamenca.
Yeah. with Picard.
With Picard. And there
was almost a romantic scene between them two.
And then they were almost romantic together.
Because she was some sort of siren that was imprinted by him or something.
Yeah, she was sort of,
But she was sleazing on all the guys. Even Worf got a little.
Yeah, she had omitted
some sort of growl.
She omitted some sort of pheromone that men couldn't resist her.
But she gave him the Klingon growl, like that. He loved that.
You got Rebecca Romijn as Mystique. She's very good in this.
Well, she's not Romijn anymore. She's something else.
No. She's at one stage she was Rebecca Romijn Stamos. She's just Rebecca Romijn now.
Romijn now. Oh, okay. Yeah. Stamos is gone?
Yeah. Long gone.
He's long gone.
And she is wearing nothing.
She's wearing blue.
She is in...
We got the blue boobs.
Bloobs.
Bloobs. We got the bloobs.
Spiky bloobs.
Yeah. Oh, and feeling sorry for her. Like I think it's always with those characters that have all that makeup on. They just got to sit in the chair for hours on end. And all the prosthetics, it was something ridiculous, like 400 prosthetic things I had to put on her with all the blue makeup. I think she had a lot of reaction to it as well at one stage from the chemicals from it, which couldn't have been nice. But I think with one of the later films, when Jennifer Lawrence took over the role, she wasn't quite known when she started, but towards the end of those reboots, she was a lot more known and she didn't want to be in the makeup anymore. You could tell. I think the last film she was in the makeup for a little bit at the start and then she wasn't for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was like, I'm not fucking sitting in that chair for fucking 6 hours.
Yeah.
I'm way too cool for that.
Yeah.
I don't blame her. That would be grueling.
Yeah. And the weird thing is that they can do a lot of it with CGI. CGI now as well.
I think they were having issues with the contact lenses too. I think Halle Berry was like, can you just...
Halle Berry refused to wear hers in the end. And they just said, you're just going to have to do CGI.
Yeah.
Cloud up her eyes.
It's easy enough.
Yeah.
That costs like $20,000 maybe.
Oh, God. It wouldn't even be that. But, yeah.
All right. Now, you brought up CGI.
Yes.
So let's talk about the special effects in this film. Now, this film came out 23 years ago. So, I mean, think when this film came out, you're talking about a film that came out in the 70s. Mm-hmm. In retrospect. So you're talking 2000, you're talking about a movie that came out in 1977.
Yeah.
Okay, so... now, not that they're bad effects, but some of the Senator ones where he turns to water and stuff are a little, yikes, maybe is the word to use. Definitely have dated those ones. Generally, they're all pretty good. Like, everything's not too bad. But there were some scenes that did sort of stick out where it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know. I still think the cool, the one where Wolverine's like spinning around with the claw.
Yeah, that's a great shot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great shot. There's one where Mystique does that sort of flying kick as she transforms in the air.
Yeah.
Shot, which is also really good. So there's also some really good effects.
Yeah. I mean, look, most of them still hold up. I'm just saying there's a few shots in there that just struggle a little bit to keep up. We are talking 23 years ago, so... You know, this day and
age...
Some of
the claws, I do have to say, Wolverine's claws look pretty terrible.
They never quite got those right, did they?
No, and I didn't know why they decided to do them CGI.
Yeah.
In this one. Like, I think maybe that was something that could have been done better with practical.
They got worse. Oh, no, they did use practical effects for some of them.
Eventually, but I think it's the one at the start.
Yeah, where it
because he sort of did that thing where he'd retract, like he had two out and one in the middle. So
he was giving him the finger, the finger claw.
No. He had the guy by the neck.
Oh yeah, and the other one comes out. Yeah,
and that's when you're like looking at it, going, "Oh, that looks like a cartoon coming out of your fingers."
As I said, look, some not many, just some don't hold up. I feel, but otherwise it's fine. You know, it's great. I feel like we've passed the threshold of effects in most decent films are pretty much unnoticeable. Yeah. Like, you don't notice them; they look part of the film. Yeah.
Yeah, and we did have a sky beam.
Beam? I
think this might have been the start of the sky beam.
Oh, I think sky beam's been out a long time. Yeah, the sky beam was it the first sky beam?
I don't know. You need to look back on all, like, try to find the first sky beam.
I'm sure there's lots of sky beams.
Oh, sky beams. Oh yeah, give me more guys, more sky beam. Has to end with the sky beam.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I read on that IMDb trivia page was, you know how Mystique walks past Bobby Drake as Bobby Drake?
Yes.
And they use CGI to do that.
He's got a twin brother.
He's got a twin brother.
You could have saved us $50,000 for shit's sake.
Yeah. Not realising that he had a twin brother. They painstakingly CGI'd that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is his twin brother is also a well-known actor. Like, it wouldn't have been...
Maybe they thought it was the same guy. I just didn't know.
Maybe. Wouldn't hurt to ask, like, hey, I doubt they would ask someone if they have a twin brother, but I thought it was quite common knowledge that the Ashmores...
He wasn't really a known actor then, was he? Or pretty unknown,
Actually, I don't even know if they're twins, but they are brothers and they look bloody identical.
Okay. No, I'm pretty sure he's a twin. I'm pretty sure. I think I might have brought it up in one of the other podcasts, the famous twins.
Okay.
And I think he was one of them, which they actually do look alike.
Yeah, because one of them was in Buffy.
That's right. Yes. And I thought it was him, and it's not. No, yeah.
We thought you were a myth.
Well, you were myth taken.
Yep. Want to go into question time?
All right, Eddie. Yeah, and I've run out of things to say. Let's bring up question time.
Hang on. I did have a question for you before we go into question time, a general one.
Okay, yes.
Out of any character in this movie, what power would you want to have?
Ooh,
and why?
What power and why? Oh, God, Eddie, it's... shit, I don't know. Well, I could say it's probably not Toad. He can stick his tongue out really far. Do lots of backflips. I suppose regeneration always seems like a cool power, but, you know, not something you can really show off. Oh, I suppose you can just stand there and, like, chop your arm off and go, hey, you know. I think the magnetic power always seems kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because it does seem it's just one power to be able to control metals, but there seems to be so many different ways you can manipulate that.
Yeah.
Which is what makes Magneto very interesting. Like, he can use it to fly. He can use it to fire guns. You know, so there's lots of different things he can do. And a character like Wolverine, as strong as he is useless against him.
Yeah.
So, there's sort of that aspect. Yeah, I think Magneto. Yeah. Again, because metal can be versatile. You can do a lot of things with that. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah. What about you?
From this film. I'll maybe go Mystique. I'll go the changing.
Yeah, change your appearance.
Change my appearance.
Self-confident much? I think Hugh Jackman actually said that as well. If he could have a power, he said Mystique. God knows fucking why. You're fucking fine the way you are. Don't need to change your power, mate. You're all set. All right, let's do question time.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
All right, here we go with question time. Eddie, I'll be asking the questions, and we'll both be answering them. So, Eddie, starting off with the first question, which character was your favourite?
Oh, Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah.
Absolutely,
Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine. There's no disputing that. Okay, next question.
Bub. So apparently that none of those bubs were in the script. Hugh Jackman just kept throwing them in.
Yeah.
And then a couple got kept in.
A couple got through.
Yep.
Cuck. Laugh out loud moment, Eddie.
Oh, it's got to be the Wolverine Cyclops. Hey, it's me. Cyclops says, prove it. And Wolverine just goes, you're a dick. And he's like, okay. I think it's also the fact that Wolverine is just so angry and just storming and like, you're a dick.
It's me. Prove it. You're a dick. Okay.
My laugh out loud moments, probably a little inappropriate these days, but the wheels line.
Oh, come on. That line was in Buffy as well.
So when Wolverine's going over the names of your Cyclops, your Storm, and he looks over at Xavier, what are you, Wheels?
Yeah.
I think he was originally meant to say Baldy.
Oh, okay. Well, that would have been worse.
I think Wheels is worse. Yeah.
No, I reckon Baldy's worse.
I think he's well over being called that. He's done with that. He's the kind of bald guy you want to look like. That's fine, you know. Yeah.
Do you really want to be called bald? Does anyone want to be called bald? People who are bald know they're fucking bald.
Yeah. I know. All right. Next question, Eddie. Favorite fight scene?
Oh, yeah, it has to be the Statue of Liberty fight scene.
Yeah.
The Rogue. No, sorry, not Rogue. The Mystique, and specifically the Mystique Wolverine fight.
Yeah.
Is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all.
And then the Wolverine Sabretooth one.
I actually had mentioned the Sabretooth Wolverine one. I did like that one at the start. I kind of wish those two characters had a bit more screen time together. I think that's really the only time you see them together.
Yeah, because that kind of gets retconned that, when in
the following film that
in
they're
the Origins
brothers.
movie that they were actually half brothers.
So why did they do that? In the film, I'm saying it doesn't make a difference that they're brothers. They could have just been friends, really.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make a difference here because he has no memory.
Yeah.
So he's lost his memory, so he doesn't know that he knows him.
Yeah. Most iconic or favourite scene, Eddie? I think I know what you're going to say with this one because I'm going to say it too.
What?
Wolverine swinging on the Statue of Liberty, cutting off whatever things, no? Yeah, maybe?
No, I'm going to go with when Wolverine wakes up.
Oh, yeah.
Jumps off the table.
Yeah.
And is running through the halls and he's sort of doing this. So it's a scene that gets parodied.
Okay, does it?
Yeah. So you haven't seen that being parodied? Like him. I've seen it parodied in another movie.
Okay, yeah.
So that
superhero movie or something? Or?
Yeah, like one of those movies where,
Okay.
that's why I thought it was an iconic scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, mine's definitely the swinging the. Yeah, Wolverine chops off a part of the, what do you call the spires or something? With Statue of Liberty, the
crowny bit.
the crowny bit, yeah.
Though I will say it's an awesome shot.
Yeah. Defaming one of the most famous statues in the world. I knew Wolverine.
Yeah.
I knew Wolverine. Most iconic or favourite quote?
Wolverine says, "You actually go outside in these things?" And Cyclops looks at him and says, "Well, what would you prefer? Yellow spandex."
Yeah. I was going to say the final line of the film when what is Magneto says something to.
I'm going to get out of here, or this place won't hold
actually
me.
says, why do you always come here? And it says, why do you ask questions you already know the answers to? I like that one.
Yeah.
I say it often too. I say that one a lot.
Yeah.
Next question, Eddie. Who gets the wooden spoon in this movie?
Oh, I think I'll go with Senator Kelly.
Senator Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. He came through in the end, though, before he turned into water.
How, though?
It's a very PG way to die, I've got to say, just turning into water. Like, there's all bodily fluids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It should have been just it should have been just like
but still a horrifying concept.
Yeah, it could have been more horrific, but the fact that he turns into water just makes it not seem as bad. But the idea of just turning into water can't be great.
Yeah. Well, he sort of turns into this gelatinous creature.
Yeah. A nice, clean, fresh, what's what I'm saying? Nice, clean, almost drinkable water.
Yeah. Clear, crystal clear water.
Not just bile and
yeah.
And yeah.
Nothing human left.
Yeah. Well, I gave it to Toad, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. I thought he was sort of underutilized.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how he could have been used other than sticking his tongue out.
Oh, he spits that goop.
Oh, the goop, yeah. And nearly killed it. No, she couldn't breathe or something.
Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Must have her face blast.
So sticks his tongue out and spits on people. It's a great superpower. You sure you don't want that one?
Absolutely not.
And Eddie, who gets the Oscar?
Oh, Hugh.
It's Hugh. Hugh. Of course you do. Hugh.
Yeah. Hugh gets the Oscar.
Yeah, great. It
To
was a
add to
great
his
role.
collection.
Add to his collection of. Has he got an EGOT too? Has he got a?
Oh, I think he.
He may have an EGOT.
No, because I don't think he's got a Tony Award.
Really?
Not a Tony. Grammy.
A Grammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No Grammys. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to start singing.
He's got a lovely singing voice.
He has a
great, but not good enough to get a Grammy.
Are the Grammys gone now, or
no? They're still going.
Yeah.
I don't think they're.
No one cares anymore.
No one cares.
No one cares.
I think only people watch them for someone to stand up and. Or they just
did they not even present them last year? Were they just announced? Was that the Grammys or was that the? What award?
They started doing it weirdly where it was at home. Well, when COVID happened, they started doing it and there was someone on stage and then they were just cutting to, there were like all these screens around with the people on them, like a massive Zoom thing and everyone dressed up in their houses.
Yeah. But I think even the last one wasn't high profile or, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
And final question, Eddie, what do you rate this movie out of 10 using something from the movie?
All right. I'll go 6 out of 10 Wolverine claws.
Yes, 6? I just had to count then. All right. Yeah. That's on the spot. I gave it 5 puddles of human water. Does that work, Eddie?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any last things you want to wrap up the show with, Eddie? Is there anything you want to throw in? Hugh Jackman, did you want to see him?
No, you never want to meet those people.
No, I heard everyone who meets him, he's just a great guy. All right. So, Eddie, look, just wrap this up, hey?
Yep.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to us tonight. We are Nerd Subculture. My name is Jarrod.
I'm Edwina.
And if you like what you're listening and you want to give us a shout or you want to find us, where can you find us, Eddie?
Oh, yeah, we're on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. There's a Facebook group, and you can also email us at nerdsubculture@gmail.com.
Yeah.
No one ever does.
No.
So
I get a lot of spam on there.
Yeah.
Are you spamming me? Someone's spamming me.
And there's also the merch store.
The merch store, yeah.
Yeah. Probably need to give that a bit more love.
Yeah, give it a bit more love. I got my coffee mug finally. That was cool. Anyway, no worries. Take care. See ya. Bye.
All right, bye.
What a twist!